it's Miss Brenner. I hope you're all doing well and staying happy and healthy. We're going to be continuing on with our literary lens notes. We're going to be looking at the new critical lens. This is when you are reading a text for the unity and complexity of its form. The focus should be on the text itself and only elements within the text. So this is the most traditional out of all of the lenses. This is most likely what you have been practicing doing throughout your entire education as far as literature. So, for example, in Midsummer Night's Dream, Shakespeare uses the love flower as a symbol of humanity's flaw of loving blindly. The humans love too swiftly throughout without truly learning to take into account the elements of a relationship that matter most. So this lens is going to focus on different literary tools such as symbolism, theme, and motif in order to analyze the text in its most raw form, which is not taking into account typical emotions or how the reader feels about it. It's really looking at what the author presents in the literature and the author's writing style. So as far as another example of new critical lens, in the movie Toy Story, the repeated motif of the symbol Andy on the bottom of the toy's shoe, representing giving one's name to somebody, something that is truly important and that they love and hold dear, and how this transforms throughout the story and brings people together, is meant to reflect similarly the concept of marriage and taking somebody's last name, or the concept of having offspring and giving them a name and keeping them as part of your family. This is all interconnected and interwoven through the depiction, animation, and creation of the plot line for Toy Story. So as far as questions to consider when looking at a literary piece through new critical lens, is what is the theme or themes that are woven throughout the text? What motifs or symbols reoccur throughout the text? How does the author use figurative language and allusions to attribute deeper meaning to the story? And what is the tone and mood of the text throughout and in segments? So once again, when we're making connections, you want to think about the most popular literary tools, which would be theme, which is a full sentence that is arguable and focuses on the underlying message of the literary work. Motif, so motifs are a way to strengthen a story by repeatedly adding images and ideas to the theme present throughout the narrative. Symbols are, in literature, symbols are often characters, settings, or images that stand in for a bigger idea. So we saw that with Andy written on the bottom of the shoe. Allusion, it's when a writer mentions some other work or concept in literature. It's frequently used to reference culture works. We've talked about this before, so a lot of times it's references to mythology, references to history, references to culture, references to the Bible, things of that nature. Tone, this is going to be from the perspective of the author's writing, so it's the style or voice in a piece of writing, referring to any or all of the stylistic qualities such as formality, dialect, and atmosphere. And then lastly, mood, which refers to the emotional response that the writer wishes to evoke in the reader through a story. So when we're looking at new critical lens, we are really not thinking about how we feel, but more how the author intended for us to feel, how the author feels, the tools used by the author, and the underlying message the author wants to present to their reader. Next, we are going to be looking at the classist lens. So this lens is for reading a text for its ability to address social structures, social interactions, typically in the workforce, or socioeconomic issues. For example, in Midsummer Night's Dream, Shakespeare depicts relationships between the very wealthy and the very poor. So we see a spectrum between the king and queen to wealthy members of the society with Hermia and Helena and their love interests, and then we even get to see some comic relief with the lower class citizens of the society. This relationship mirrors our expectations of social classes for the time, interacting much like working pieces in a clock. However, there is a veneer of polite classism that protects these characters from directly clashing. So although the character's story is somewhat interwoven, the characters don't really interact outside of their class structure. This can also be seen in The Lion King, where according to the lions, you can go anywhere the light touches, but that dark area off in the distance, don't go there because that is where the hyenas live, and the hyenas live in a more desolate, more deprived manner. They are not able to meet their personal needs as far as water, food, other things of that nature, and so therefore they are put into a situation of survival mode where they are very aggressive, very inhumane towards other members of the society. Sorry, I'm trying to bridge between it being animals and it personifying the animals in a more human nature form. But the point is that the bad guys are considered to be the hyenas. However, the hyenas really have minimal choice other than to be the bad guy in this movie. So, questions to consider with Classist Lens. Explore the way different demographics, social, race, other things of that nature, religion, are represented in a text. How does the author use socioeconomic demographics to impact the story? What worldview does the text represent? What does the text say either directly or indirectly about the impact of class structures? And analyze the social effects of the text. How does the author use class structure to impact the reader? As far as making connections, we're going to go back to looking at foreshadowing. So if we're thinking about again and again, how does a character's unique background of ethnicity, class, religion, other forms of socioeconomic differentiators continually impact the story? So a lot of times, if we are going to pull in a class structure like we see in Brave New World, it will impact how the characters behave or how they feel about themselves. Memory moments. When characters reflect on their lives through past experiences, how do these flashbacks impact us as a reader and change the character dynamic in the story? Words of the wiser. When characters share advice in the story, how do these interactions give us, the reader, a better understanding of the divide between groups of people? So that is the end of our notes for these two lenses. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.